Hello, everyone. This is another Black Conservative. I am Ryan Bolin. Thank you all for joining me. You know, I was reading an article on something that Vice President Kamala Harris said. And some of you probably familiar with this. And she made the statement that there's nothing that would require for you to change your religious beliefs or conflict with your religious beliefs if you support abortion. That's basically what she said. You know, if you support abortion, there's nothing about supporting abortion that would conflict with your faith or require that you change it. And I find it interesting and yet at the same time disgusting to me that these politicians would get up here and dictate the meaning of the word of God, or to dictate to you and I how to interpret our own religious beliefs. Look, let's get into this article. I'm going to get into this article. I'm going to give you my detailed commentary on this, but I'm just going to read a portion of this article. Not going to read all of it. It's pretty lengthy. I'm just going to read a portion of it. Excuse me. And these are her words. She says, there's nothing about supporting abortion that conflicts with faith or would require anyone to abandon it or change it, according to Vice President Kamala Harris, who warned of the impact of criminalizing the procedure while arguing the government, quote, should not have the ability to decide what an individual does with her own body. That's what liberal politicians always say. It's about, you know, what you can do with your own body. I don't believe that's the issue at all. I don't believe the issue is about controlling what a woman does with her own body. If the issue was about controlling what a woman does with her own body, then it wouldn't be an issue. They wouldn't say nothing about it. The issue is taking the life of another human being. It's just like going out here and committing first-degree murder or any kind of murder, whether it's first-degree murder or defense or whatever. Once the law gets in on it, they have to make a response to it from a lawful perspective. If you go out here and commit first-degree murder, you got to pay for the crime. You have to do the time. So the same principle here with abortion. The reason why it is an issue is not because Republicans in the GOP or whatever wants to control women. They could care less about a woman's body and what she does with her body. You can stick needles in it for all they care. For all I care, I mean, it's what you want to do with your body. We're not talking about the body of the female. We're not talking about the body of the woman. We're talking about the body of that child that's in her. It's considered murder. Now think about this. Prior to 1973, people were still getting abortions in America. They were. Before 1973, Roe v. Wade legalized it all over the states. But people were still getting abortions based on some sources that I was reading. They were still getting abortions before 1973, but it was considered immoral, and it was more underground and was considered immoral. Now think about that. Why did most people consider abortion prior to 1973 to be an immoral thing and a wrong thing? Because of the principles that America was founded on from the beginning. Most people felt it was wrong because they felt it was wrong. If abortion wasn't an issue, then why is there so much contention with it? If abortion was totally okay, as the liberals want you to believe it's okay, why is there such an issue with it? Why are they pooting and snotting and farting to try to push for it? It has nothing to do, in my opinion, it has nothing to do with the woman's right to choose over her body. The reason why these liberal politicians say that is so that you can keep voting for them. They can't just come out and tell you what they really believe, that they're anti-God, anti-moral. They're not going to tell you that. So they got to cover it up in nice little statements and to make it seem like it's all about you and your body and your health. And it's not about you. They don't care about you. Any person that, for the most part, that has these kind of moral values, in my opinion, that has this kind of moral worldview, or if you want to call it a moral worldview, is they're capable of doing anything. They're capable of pushing anything. But let's go further. I'm gonna read further into this because I'm going giving more than I should be giving right here. Asks about her work with activists on the issue of abortion and what Americans should expect in terms of executive action from the Biden administration. The landmark 1973 Roe v. Wade ruling is overturned. Harris called for patience in remarks on Friday. She says, well, let's first wait and see exactly what the court does, because they'll give us a good idea of, frankly, what harm is going to result, she said. So then noted that she had been convening folks around many sectors of just who we are as a society to address privacy issues surrounding issues including abortion. Most recently, I brought together some constitutional scholars around privacy issues because we are very concerned that the privacy right from which Roe v. Wade flows can also put at risk the right to contraceptive and the right to same-sex marriage. I don't think so. I don't think that's the issue, because that's an adult issue. That's what you want to do. If you want to have sex with another man, another woman, that's on you. If you don't want to wear contraceptives or whatever, that's on you. That has to do with that if they overturn Roe v. Wade, I don't believe it's going to affect the right to contraceptive or the right to same-sex marriage. I don't think it's going to affect that at all, because that has nothing to do with taking the life of another human being. Okay, that has nothing to do with that. That's two consenting adults or whatever who want to live that lifestyle. That's your choice. They don't care. If you want contraceptive, if you don't want contraceptive, that's your choice. They don't care. Okay, most people don't care. But we're talking about the life of a human being, unborn human being that person plans on terminating the life of inside the belly of that woman. That's what the issue is. Let's read on here. Now, here's the part that disgusts me. Harris also discussed her convening of faith leaders on the issue, arguing nothing about it requires one to forsake their faith. I've convened faith leaders, she said, and for those of us of faith, I think that we agree, many of us, that there's nothing about this issue that will require anyone to abandon their faith or change their faith. According to Harris, the issue is, quote, simply saying that the government should not have the ability to decide what an individual does with her own body. Let her make that decision with her pastor or her rabbi or whoever she consults, she concluded, but it should not be the government making that decision. Now, let me say something right there real quick. I find that interesting that she says, let her make that decision with her pastor or her rabbi or whoever she consults. Number one, if a woman in any church, whether it's a Protestant church or a Catholic church or Jewish synagogue or whatever, and that one wants to get an abortion, more than likely, she's not going to go to the pastor or the rabbi or the priest to consult with them. She's more than likely probably not going to do that unless they're very, very far left. But for the most part, she's not going to do that because in her heart, she more than likely knows conscious-wise that it's not right. She just wants to for the most part, get rid of the baby because it's an inconvenience to her. And that's usually most of the time, that's usually most of the reasons why women get abortions. It's because of inconvenience to them. We're not talking about some woman that got raped by Uncle Jojo or we're not even talking about that. That's a very, very small number. And that's a whole nother discussion, and I digress. We're talking about women who mostly get pregnant, having premarital sex. They get pregnant and wasn't planning on getting pregnant, get pregnant, and then they want to get rid of the baby because the baby's an inconvenience. The baby going to slow them down and keep them from doing what they want to do. So they want to abort the baby. 9 times out of 10, they're not going to go to the priest. They're not going to go to the rabbi, and they're not going to go to some pastor. They're not going to go to the pastor because in their heart, they know it's not right. Another thing, too, I wanted to say about this statement that Reverend Kamala Harris made, she said, but it should not be the government making that decision. I find that interesting because it was the government or the Supreme Court, which is the government, basically is the government, made the decision to overrule and have prayer removed out of all of the schools in the state. Wasn't that a government decision? Prior to the removal of prayer and the reading of the Bible in the schools, most states, if not all the states in the country, okay, this was in the 1960s, but prior to the 1960s, most of the schools, if not all the schools in the country, agreed with having prayer in the schools and having Bible in schools and teaching the Bible in schools. Most schools agreed over this for over 100 years. Then all of a sudden it changes. Now it's unconstitutional. Really? So who made the decision when that happened, Miss Kamala Harris, Reverend Kamala Harris? Who made the decision to remove prayer out of the schools, to remove the teaching of the Bible out of the schools? Who made the decision to remove creation out of the schools and replace it with moral relativism and secular humanism and evolution. Who made that the decision? It certainly wasn't the parents for the most part. Certainly wasn't the teachers for the most part. It was the Supreme Court justice decision, which is the government. But all of a sudden here, you wanted to be, the government shouldn't make that decision. We're talking about murder here. We're not talking about, well, you can put some makeup on or cut your hair or put tattoos all over yourself or put pins and needles in your head like Pinhead off the movie Hellraiser. That's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about the life of an unborn child. That's why it's an issue. Knock it off with this foolishness. To support abortion is to stand, or is in response, Arkansas State Representative Aaron Pinkleton said Harris is outright wrong. He says to support abortion is to stand in opposition to the Christian faith. Just ask any bishop or priest, he wrote. And here's a few more quotes here I wanted to read. Lord have mercy. This woman is either ignorant or deeply deceived, wrote popular author and speaker Stephen Mansfield. Goodness, wrote Chakra Amaran, who is running as a Republican to unseat Representative Ilhan Omar. Please do. Please unseat her. Please unseat her. They at least now want to tell you what the God they don't believe in requires of you. Absolutely. And I said this before, a significant number of these progressive Democrats and progressive liberals do not even believe in God, but they want to tell you what to believe. Think about it, man. People got to pay attention to what these politicians doing to them, especially religious leaders. It sickens me to the point where I want to just slap somebody, particularly these religious leaders that sit up here and let these political atheists and agnostics tell you what you're supposed to believe in about your own faith. Let me read it. They at least now want to tell you what the God they don't believe in requires of you just to promote their disgusting political agenda, wrote constitutional law attorney Jenny Ellis. Absolutely. 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 I'm going to finish right. I'm going to complete. I'm finished right. You can read the rest of the article on your own free time. But this is disgusting to me. This is disgusting to me that she would convene with faith leaders and so forth. Now, some people may argue, well, Republicans have done it too. Republicans tend to pander towards conservatives and particularly evangelical conservatives to get their votes. They'll say, I'm a Christian and I'm this, that, and the other. And that's why I fought a lot of conservatives. Because a lot of conservatives had to be discerning too. Just because some politician gets up there and say that they are a Christian don't mean they're Christian. Just because they're Republicans does not mean, it don't even mean that they believe in God. It's just that most Republicans and most conservatives do believe in God. That's what the numbers show. But some don't. Some are agnostics. They just have principles that are more in line with biblical principles than the left do. For the most part, the left don't have any of that. So people can argue, well, you know what? The conservatives do the same thing. Yes, they do the same thing. And that's what the situation was with Bush. Bush shut up here and pandered to conservatives. From what I've read and heard about, he pandered to conservatives. They voted for him. He said no new taxes. When he got in office, there was new taxes. In addition to that, the man wasn't even a real Christian. Okay, he was a member of a secret society known as Skull and Bones, located in Yale University. And that's not a conspiracy theory. That's the truth. And it was a cult secret society, and it was not a Christian secret society. And some critics and researchers say it was Skull and Bones was related and is related to the Illuminati, the Order of the Illuminati, which was created in 1776 by Adam Weishaupt, a professor of Canaan law. Yes, that was real. But anyway, I just wanted to say that I think this is ridiculous. I think this is crazy. To use faith leaders to push this kind of stuff is disgusting to me. And I don't agree with politicians, especially the left politicians, who for the most part don't even believe in God, trying to use these faith leaders and pastors and leaders to promote this idea of abortion. It's sick and disgusting. And I believe that faith leaders who claim to know the word of God and claim to believe in the word of God, they need to start living it, and they need to start standing on those principles. Because nowhere in the closing of this video, nowhere in the Old or New Testament, nowhere does it even remotely support abortion. Nowhere. The Bible doesn't have to say, thou shalt not commit abortion. Thou shalt not have an abortion. It says, thou shalt not kill. Don't need to say anything else. Common sense would tell people that that's what it means. It means what it means. Just saying, folks. What do you guys think about what Kamala Harris said? What do you guys think? Leave your comments in the comment section below. Like, share, and subscribe to this channel. God bless you all, and see you again on another Black Conservative.